Hey, we can all benefit from some self-improvement. Rooted Within Her is your go-to podcast for the faith-rooted woman who is ready to overcome emotional exhaustion and live boldly with clarity, confidence, and consistency. Rooted Within Her is your space to heal, rise, and thrive. So make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out rootedwithinher.com so you can be the first to know about our workout plans, our retreats, clothing line, books, and so much more. So you can thrive mentally, physically, and spiritually while connected with other like-minded communities. So sit back and relax, and don't forget to grab your notepad and your pen and enjoy. Welcome to Rooted Within Her, our podcast that focuses on helping women to heal and to rebuild. Today we have a very, very special guest, and her name is Tryphena Johnson. Hello, Tryphena. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us, for being on Rooted Within Her, just helping women to really heal and to rebuild, because we know life, it can be so challenging. But we just keep lifing. We just keep going through, and we get to the end where we realize that God, his plans are so much better than our plans or what we could even think of or imagine. So tell us about yourself. Who are you? And tell us about your name. It's so different. It's unique.
Thank you, Brittany. Well, first, thank you so much for having me on. I am honored to be on your show. So let me first say thank you. My name is from the Bible, Romans 16:12. Tryphena and Tryphosa, they were twins. They were missionaries of Paul. My grandmother gave me the name Tryphena. My dad wanted to name me something else. He wanted to name me Esther. Because he said he saw me and he thought beauty. And of course, that's what Esther means. But my mom had a different plan because of, TV and things of that nature. And she didn't want me to have a negative, negative thing and get bullied at school. And I really appreciate her because of that. So we went with Tryphena, or they went with Tryphena. And it's a blessing because you never know when you name your kids, you never know what your name is going to mean in the future. So I really appreciate them naming me Tryphena. So that's where Tryphena came from. And who am I? I am Tryphena. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I always got to give props to my hometown. So yay, St. Louis. But I've been living here in the Dallas Metroplex for over 20 years. I am an educator, CTE and AVID. And with the AVID world, I have been a national staff developer where I educate educators all over the United States and give them best practices and how to use those strategies in their classroom. I'm also a mom and a wife of, people, girl. I can't even talk right now. It's been a long day. I just got off the plane. So you got all these titles, right? But yeah, I have all these different titles. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to see what other titles I can get. I'm also a business owner. I actually just started my business last year. Just started it last year. I'm a conversation facilitator. And it's something that God put in my spirit to do. And with that, he put in my spirit to have those necessary conversations, because sometimes it's hard to have those necessary conversations within your organizations, within your companies, and even within your friendships. And so he gave me the idea to first start it off as a brunch. And so we have these yearly brunches with women at this time. Now, of course, as I said, I'm a conversation facilitator, so it's different, men and women. But this yearly brunch is for the women. And so last year we just had a ball, and I'll talk to you about that a little bit more in your podcast. But yeah, that's who Tryphena is in a nutshell.
I love it. I love it. So one thing we talked about, you already covered a lot of things. Your name. Your name has it's so important of who and how we name our children. And so a lot of times people don't understand, as in working in the field of mental health, people come to me and they really just don't understand their upbringing or their roots. They've been in these relationships where now they have forgotten their worth and their value. And a lot of times we have to go back to the word. What does our creator tell us? Who did he tell us that we are? And it's so easy to get sidetracked from time to time because you live this world in this world and you're around these people. And that's why they say you are the sum of the total 5 people that are around you. If people were to come and interview those 5 people, they can already tell who you are. And so, what do you do to keep your circle tight and to make sure that you're around people who are uplifting and inspiring? And how do you pour into people who are like, you know what, I just don't know my worth. I just don't know my value.
That's a really good question. I'm always praying,
Yeah.
always praying. God have gave me the gift of discernment. And so if those spirits ain't right, some people call it, discernment, some people call it vibe, whatever. Um, I know what it's in me. And so I know what it is. It's discernment. And so if those is, the spirit ain't right, I can't deal with you. I can't deal with you. And
Right.
it's, the devil is true too. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
sometimes people come and, they come friendly, hey, and then it's not what it seemed to be.
Right.
And so you just got to know. And it was one of the things I want to say this too, the older you get, the more wisdom you gain. And
Yeah.
sometimes you ain't even have to be old to these things, God with the child, you know what I'm saying? You have kids, I have kids. And sometimes God put those intuition and discernment into them so they know. And so one of the things that I do, if they ain't for me, take them out. Don't even put them in my space because I want to make sure that especially in the day and age that we're living in, I want to make sure that I'm around the right people who's going to encourage me. It's a lot of negativity that's going
Yeah.
on in the world. I met you in the world of education, and in that world it can be very negative.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Every
yes,
day.
yes,
Okay.
every day, all day long. And so one of the things, especially in that world, is really quick. It's really easy to be linked up with some people, and it that it's like a cancer, and it can grow, 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 grow. And so
Mhm.
even for me, even though I know a lot of people, I'm always that loner. I need to be by myself.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to be by myself. So if you were not for like being talking positive, I need you out of my space.
Yes. And that just speaks to how light attracts light, right? Because even though we met in that realm of education, because of our light, didn't know how God's gonna put it all together. But because of our light, we're like, okay, yeah, she my people, right? Because you're
Right,
like, it's so much going on.
right,
And
right,
people don't
right,
realize that. That's a whole
right.
nother umbrella being in education. To say you've been in education for 20 years. Oh my gosh.
Over, over.
Right, over
Yeah,
20. All right,
yeah,
we're gonna put
yeah.
that over, okay?
Yes, and I think that's one of the reasons why. And I don't know if I'm getting ahead of your
I know
your
you're good.
schedule. So tell me, Brittany, tell me.
You're good, honey. Yes.
I think this is one of the reasons why the brunch like kind of started itself, because I was talking to one of my friends and I was like, hey, I've been in education for over 20 years, I want to do X, Y, and Z with my career. And you see a lot of negative people, and a lot of times you see those negative people, they're advancing, and you working hard,
Okay.
you doing the
Sun
right
up,
thing.
sundown, treating people
Yeah,
right.
right.
Okay.
Right. You doing everything right, and you ain't getting to, you're not getting to the next step. And then you ask yourself, is it me? And it a lot of times it's not you, but God may be trying to get your attention. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
right.
And so it was like we running into this rat race. And so I'm gonna stop there because I can go on a tangent. So
No, but with you saying that just made me think about how we look at that and we're like, Lord, why does it seem like they're just getting promoted? Not realizing that God is making it to where we have to get out of our comfort zone, because if we don't, then we won't start the business. We won't go and do all the things that He told us to do. Because we're like, I'm good, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm Gucci, everything's good. And God said, no, He's called us to do greater, especially with us having that light. Because from the mental health perspective, you see everyone comes to you with anxiety, depression, bipolar. It's so deep. And what I've learned is sometimes people are okay. They're used to normalizing, like, this is a part of me. I have this, this is what I am. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And that's why we realize the mind is so powerful. And that's what we're really coming up against. And now we get to see working in education. It starts at home. Everything starts at home. But your environment is everything. And so for you being positive, starting the conversational brunches, that's allowing people to get in an environment with other people who are positive, like-minded individuals who want to do something greater. And so tell us about like the type of people who are attracted to your brunches, or what is it that they can get? They show up to a brunch. What is it that they get when they come?
Okay, well, last year was the first one, and so it was so cool. Like God put it in my spirit, and so let me say this. I won't answer that question, but let me say this. When He put it in my heart that I needed to do this, I questioned, am I really supposed to do this?
Right.
Right. I was very
Me?
much careful.
Yeah, are you sure?
You not talking to me. You ain't talking to me. And so I struggle with that. I struggled with that for a long time. A long time. And then I did it. So backpedal, I did it. But because I want to answer your question and I want to go back. So at the brunch, because He did it and He told me to do it, it was like He gave me step-by-step instructions on what to do. So I had the brunch. Ladies of all ages came. So I was like really impressed by that. So we had 20-year-olds there, all the way up to maybe 60, late 60s there. And we talked about everything. We had fun, we danced, we laughed, we cried. All the different emotions you can think of. It was there. We ate good.
Yes.
We
we
sipped.
gotta eat good, okay.
You gotta eat good. You gotta eat good. We sipped because you gotta have some little beverages or whatever. You don't have to, but that's where it was in my mind. We took pictures, but we also connected. And inside the room was what I really, really liked about it is because even though it was a lot of different ages, nobody thought that they were better than the other.
Yes.
Everything was confidential. Everything was in a place where you felt comfortable. You knew that what you said stayed. It was a lot of people who were able to share their innermost thoughts, their secrets, things that they didn't know they needed to share. And the things that they shared, they didn't know that other ladies in their room were going
Needed
through
to
the
hear.
exact same thing. And so you heard those things. And so I said last year, I told them at the beginning of the brunch, I was like, hey, I did this and I'm probably not going to do it again because it was a free thing because God told me to do it for free.
That's right.
So it was free. And I said, what? But I was obedient because I wanted to be obedient. Right.
That's right.
And so, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
But what
so
made you
I told him
continue to do it?
um because he told me to do it again.
Right, we got
And
partial disobedience is still disobedience. So you're right. We got to be
right,
obedient.
right,
Fully.
right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I have to talk about this year too, because they asked for it again. It was a lot of ladies. Even when they were there, they was like, "It's time to go," and I was like, "Yes, it's time to go. I just wanted a few hours of your time, you know." And it was like, "You got to do it again." And even after the event, like they were continuing to talk about it, and it was like 5 months after, "Are you going to do it again?" And I was like, "Mm-mm." And and in like July of this year, because I thought that things should have looked like a different way, right? And
Mhm.
like far as my career, far as things I asked God for, and it didn't look the way that Tryphena wanted to look away.
Girl, tell
And
that all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. And it, I was going through my own thing, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, no, it's like being a stubborn kid, and I was having a temper tantrum. And at the end of the day, he's gonna get his way,
That's right.
one way or the
One way
other.
or another. Okay.
So we having the tea September 13th of this year, which is
Yes.
Saturday. And it is, but I love how the older people were asking some of the younger ladies in the room their advice on some of the things, because it may have been something about their younger kids, or and
Mhm.
how the younger ladies were asking some, things about, well, how did you do it when you were this age? Or,
Mhm.
it was just a lot of different subject matters coming up, and one of the things that we do is I had a book, which is the Metamorphosis, the thoughts on beauty, transformation, and hope. And so the one of my desires is for all ladies. You don't have to, but it's highly encouraged to read the book before you come, because when you read the book, is more of a conversation of how we can get clarity, because
Mhm.
inside this book is talking about also what you're talking about, the mental health things that we go
Yes.
through on everyday life. This lady who wrote the book, Dr. Devanshi Ali, she talked about some of her struggles of mental health issues and how she overcame, and how you as an individual can overcome those things. And so it's so important, because even though we may not say, there's a struggle or there's issues, there's always an issue, there's always a struggle. And if we have each
Mhm.
other, we have a community, we can help and we can go to the next level. And one other reason, you need to say something before I go, because
But
I
I was
want
just
you
gonna say that is so good because a lot of times people feel like they have to do it all alone, or they feel like
to.
growing up in their household, they were raised underneath that umbrella. What goes on in this house stays in this house.
Mhm.
And we don't
Mhm.
realize how holding those things in leads to all kinds of cancers, all kinds of problems, inflammation, problems with your body. And we have to be able to talk. But now it's about learning the right circles to get around, and the right circles to open up and talk, and being in that safe space. And
Right.
that's what I'm hearing, is that you're creating a safe space for people to come in, have a conversation with all ages, which I think is beautiful,
Mhm.
because we need to be able to learn from every generation, because we
Mhm.
don't know everything. And I think that's the biggest thing with us being honest, saying, you know what, I don't know everything. And that's something as parents, I'm realizing that just apologize, right? We're giving
Mhm.
them something we didn't get. Our parents didn't apologize to us. But apologize, I was wrong in that
Mhm.
tone that I use, or whatever that
Right.
is, just to do things different. Because we can't keep doing things the same way, expecting the different results. Because it just doesn't work like that.
Right. And I'm glad you said that about if you don't talk about it because you can't get sick.
Mm.
So I was working this job um 2 years ago. 23? Yeah, 23. At this particular school. And the district, I was working as a data analyst at the time. And which is testing, for your audience who doesn't know that. So a fancy
So
word
it
for
sounds so,
organizing
nice.
testing.
Like, oh, that's just testing. Okay. It's not just testing, because all of them, okay.
There's a lot of tests. All right. And so at the time I was working at elementary school. And so and I thought, it was gonna be, because it's elementary, they can't
Girl.
have as much as secondary. Lies. They test those babies so much. Oh my goodness. So anyway, the district had just put in a new initiative in the middle, like October, that they wanted to give these new tests, and they wanted to test these babies every so often, right? And they didn't tell us at the beginning of the school year. And so I had a overzealous um boss. And that's a good word to say.
Yes,
And
it is.
so I knew that, everything had to be in a systematic order, right? And so
Right.
I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, and I needed to make sure that I had this stuff going on at the schoolhouse. It was a very large school, and I'm trying to think, how can I get this all together, right? And so, and I also have this trip planned that same weekend, right? And
Oh, Lord.
and I'm trying to go to this because this trip is for me. And this
Right.
trip is for me to go have fun and to relax and, to relax, relate, and release and have some fun, right?
Right.
So
I'm thinking about homework and all the other things.
right. So I'm trying to hurry up and do what I need to do. So I'm getting my stuff together. And I noticed like a week or 2 days before, I was having a little shortness of breath, and my chest was hurting a little bit. And I was like, oh, I might need to call the doctor because I need to get a Z-Pack, right?
Right.
Or maybe a week or two or so. So anyway, I'm going back and forth to this library or whatever, and it's this lady, a strange lady. I'd never seen her before. And so she's talked to this one lady, and she really spoke into her life. And I was like, wow, that lady knows some stuff. She didn't know that lady from Adam, right? And so I said, you really spoke, because the lady was my friend. So she had shared some stuff with me. And I was like, thank you for sharing. And my friend really needed that. And so the lady grabbed my hand and she said, and you. And she read me from
Lord, come on.
And one of the things she said to me was, have you been to the doctor lately? And I was like, I go to the doctor, and she was like, I'm not saying that you sick or anything, but you need to go get checked out, And so, and then she also said, you gotta, she said, you got a ministry in you and you got some work to do, but you don't think you're equipped enough, but God got you.
Come on.
He got you. And I was like, and she said, if you don't do it, it's gonna die with you. And I was like, who is this lady?
But that's what's in the grave,
At first I was just giving you see how this is. I was just giving her applause for her, somebody else. But when she started talking to me, I was like, this lady, what's she talking about? So I'm saying all right. I'm saying all that to say 2 days or a week later, I got sick with the little chest pains. I called the doctor saying I needed a Z-Pack because my chest is hurting. I got to go out of town the next day so we got to get this together. Give me the Z-Pack so I can get on this plane. So they told me to go ahead and come in because if you're having chest pain, maybe it's something else. And I was like, no, it's just some congestion. I just need to get the Z-Pack.
Look at us trying to tell the doctor. No.
I went to. So I came in and it was like, oh, your pressure's a little high. And I said, it is, And then it was like, yeah, let's just give you an EKG just to make sure that you okay. And I was like, I'm all right. Just give me the Z-Pack.
Right.
And then they came back with the results. And she said, your EKG is abnormal. You're going to have to go across the street to the hospital. So I went across the street to the hospital. Still haven't called anybody because these people are crazy. So I went across to the hospital. They called ahead, said I was coming. All these people start rushing in. By this time, I was scared.
Give me the Z-Pack and I'll be good.
Right. And then I was like, well, they supposed to Z-Pack. I just need to dry this up. So then they came back and was like, it's not good. Your EKG is off. That means your heart is beating irregularly. I was like, oh Lord,
Right.
They was like, your pressure is really high. And it was like, so either you had a heart attack, you having a heart attack, or
because you can have heart attacks and not even know it.
Yeah, and I said it must be somebody else. Not Tryphena Johnson. And then they was rolling me through the hospital, and I'm mad, and I'm not understanding.
I got this trip. I'm trying to get
I told everybody in the hospital, I got a trip. I got to go to Colorado. I got some
Ma'am, you
heart
won't be on
attack.
no trip if you don't take care of your heart.
Right. And so then the cardiologist, I said that word all wrong, but anyway, the heart doctor.
Said cardiologist. Yes, you said it right. Oh my God.
The
Come
heart
on,
doctor.
educator. Over
I
20
know.
years.
I know. Don't bleep that part out. Okay. So the heart doctor, he came in and he was like, "Okay, so you did not have a heart attack." I was
Okay,
like,
that's
"Thank you,
important.
Jesus."
Yes.
Okay. So he was like, "But your pressure is extremely high, and that's why your chest is hurting. You need to get that under control." So we still, they still want to go through all the routine tests and everything. So we did all the routine tests. They looking at me as they're doing the test, and I'm looking at them, and they looking at me crazy. I'm looking at them crazy. They was like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Am I supposed to be all right?" "Yeah, I'm okay." So it was a scary thing, but no blockage, no heart attacks.
Praise the Lord.
Thank God.
Yes.
But I did go back to my roots. I'm always praying, but I had to go back to. I grew up Church of God in Christ, so I had to go back to those roots, to Bishop G. Patterson. So for
Okay.
those who know him,
Yeah, I
okay.
used to listen
So
to
he got this YouTube video, and it's called G. Patterson Praying, and that was on YouTube all night long. I had never spent the night in the hospital, only to have my babies. And that
Right.
was playing all night long, and I was okay. I have not been back to the hospital ever since then.
Yes,
I
praise
learned
God.
how to take care of myself. I learned to say no when I need to say
Yes.
no.
Come
I
on.
understood the assignment for me to do the brunch, and to connect other women, because it's just not about me, it's
That's
about other
right.
women, you know.
And
And
that's where you start to change lives, is when we look beyond ourselves. When we are really here doing the work to help others, that's when God says, okay, now you understand the assignment. And now the provision, everything just starts lining up, everything. But we
right.
have to give him our yes and mean yes.
Yes. Now, am I perfect?
No, nobody's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm still a wretch undone. Yes, but yes, it's been a journey. It's been a journey,
Yes, but
and
thank you for sharing that story about your EKG, because we don't realize we think that it has to get done. Like, I've been given this test, this is my job, it has to get done. Home, if I don't do it, who's gonna do it? Because we've always done everything. And it's not until we start taking a step back, or God will make us take a step back and realize, like, no, you don't have to do everything. You're
right,
not created to do everything. And
right.
really taking the Sabbath and really taking the time to really rest, because we're always going, especially like being an educator. We're always like, okay, I can do this, I can figure this out, put this here, we're always doing. And we have to stop, because we can't hear God clearly when we're steady going all the time. We're not robots.
We're not. We're not. We're not. And we have to. And He will remind us
Yes.
that we're not. And it's another thing. Like, we will try to, because of our plan and because of our agenda and what we think, and how it should look, and what He thinks of, not thinks, or how He knows it should look. We would try to make it fit the way we think it will, and we will mess up every single time.
Girl, it's like taking that puzzle piece and we trying to, I know it's the right color. It's gotta go. God said, no, it don't. It's only
Yeah.
one puzzle piece that goes in that spot. One.
Right. So yeah, that was my story, and I'm excited to see what else He has for Miss Tryphena Johnson.
Oh my gosh, so much. So tell our listeners, how can they stay in contact with you? How can they find out about this brunch, the next brunch, all of that good stuff?
All right. Well, I am on social media. I am on Facebook as Tryphena Johnson. I think I know I'm on Instagram as Tryphena J.
Okay.
And then you can find about this brunch on Eventbrite. It's called Tea Talk with Tea.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm,
Sipping on
mhm.
some tea. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yes, Tea Talk with Tea, because as I said, we're going to be talking about a lot of different situations, a lot of different situations. If there's nothing that you can say that we would turn our nose up at. There's nothing that you can say that you can't talk about. One of the ladies had a loss of a family member, a child actually, and we had to talk about that, and how he left her like nuggets
Mm,
of information. She didn't know, of course, he was going to pass. I don't think he knew who was going to pass, but there was something that he left,
mm,
different pieces of information, nuggets of him, as he was going through his transitions cycle of him leaving this earth.
oh, goodness.
And so it's just a lot of different things that may come up that you don't even know it's gonna happen. I was so surprised because, again, like I said, I hadn't did this before. I just knew that God was going to show up. It's not a church event. It's not. I want to put that out there. This is not a church event. Um, However, we do welcome God's presence. You did feel God's presence in here, and I'm in the venue. Um, there's not, and what I mean by that, there's no preaching or nothing like that,
Right.
because we're having conversations. We're
Mm.
having real conversation. We're eating. We're talking. We're sipping cocktails. There will be cocktails there. We're
Okay.
dancing. We're dancing. So it's a mixture of different things. But like I said, and then we actually at the end we did pray. So
Love
there's a
it.
lot of different things going on.
Well, I got one question for you. Does everybody need to bring their fan so they can put their foot on the ground?
You can bring your fans because we did dance. We did do some dancing. We did do some dancing, but for the most part, it was like the meat. You know what I'm saying? The meat of the conversation of the things that we needed to work out. But we had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. A
I
lot of
love it. I
So
love it.
yes, please, Tryphena Johnson is my Facebook. You can see a lot of the advertisement, is
Okay.
videos, Tryphena J on Instagram. And again, if you want to come, it's Eventbrite and it's Tea Talk with Tea.
I love it. Well, as we close, give us some words of encouragement that you want to leave our listeners with. It could be a favorite scripture, favorite quote, or just some words of wisdom that you want to leave for our audience today.
Oh, you are so good at this, Brittany. I'm just so proud of you. First, let me say again, thank you so much for having me. I am so proud of you.
Wow.
Um, from the math teacher, I'm
In my
telling,
20s, in my young 20s.
I'm telling you, your audience the whole story. Met her as a math teacher to see her the glow up as this beautiful Brittany boss up at
Yes, thank
this
you.
podcast, has been an author and so many other things, and I'm just so proud of you.
We
The
give God the glory because we
Oh
can't do it without Him, honey. Okay.
just love her, love her, love her. Always have fun with her. Every time we seen each other, we didn't know what we was laughing at. We would just start laughing.
Okay.
But that was just our
Sometimes all we could do is just laugh and not cry because it was so much stuff going on. Like, Lord Jesus, help us.
yes, yes, yes. It's just so much going on. But my advice is anything that you're going through, any situation that you're going through, know that there is God. God is always your best friend. He is your provider. He is your confidant. If you can't talk to nobody else, you can always go to God.
Yes.
Your friends may not be there. You can always call your friends, but they may not answer. They may not understand what's going on, but God, He made you. So even if it's a slip up, even if it's something that you don't know why you doing stuff, because we all go through that,
Right. Like,
That's the thing.
why? Why did
That's
I
the
do
thing.
that? Why
Even,
did I say that?
and that's the thing is like, I mess up daily,
Right.
probably moment by moment, I always do things the right way. Um, I just came back from the DR. I had me a good old time.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and and one of the things was, even I had a middle seat, and I hate sitting in the middle, but even
Right. Give me
with
that window seat so I can.
go sleep, lay their head to the floor. And even with that, I booked late, and so I was like, oh God, I want me a window seat. And because I have the faith in learning, and that's another thing, building that faith, what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and that's where I'm still at. And so having that faith and being bold in that faith walk, that's my struggle that I'm continue to walk in. But I am learning to walk in faith and to have faith. And my faith walk has really increased. And so I encourage your listeners to try God if they haven't tried him.
Yes.
They
And that
need
just
to
goes
have
back
their
to
prayer.
faith beyond what we can see, and that's the thing. Because if we can see it, why do we need faith? And so just really taking that step by step each and every day. So I love it. Well, you have been a phenomenal guest on our episode. Please tell our audience one more time, where can they stay connected with you at?
Tryphena Johnson on Facebook, Tryphena J on Instagram, and I think our internet connection is lagging a little bit. I think it's on my end, but if you asked about Tea Talk with T, you can find that on eventbrite.com, and it's
All
called Tea
right.
Talk
Thank
with
you.
T.
And we will definitely have you back on.